Praise the Lord, church. It's a little bit of a shock. Me and Pastor were talking a couple weeks ago, and he had mentioned preaching, and he was, wanting to see if I wanted to speak on the last Wednesday of December, and I was like, yeah, well, that gives me plenty of time to get nervous. So Sunday at church, I walked in, and he was like, hey, Brother Justice, I want to talk to you. You want to preach on Wednesday? I was like, yeah. So here we are. It was a little rough getting this message. I had a message that I was going to preach that Wednesday, and I kept trying to force it. It just wasn't flowing. And after a lot of prayer, and God led me back to a message that I had started a couple of months ago, and I just never finished it. And this didn't feel forced. It flowed, and it was easy. And I felt like it was God's will. If you'll turn with me to 1 Samuel chapter 17. We'll start at verse number 40. And he took his staff in his hand and chose him 5 smooth stones out of the brook and put them in the shepherd's bag which he had, even in a scrip. And his sling was in his hand, and he drew near to the Philistine. And the Philistine came on and drew near unto David, and the man that bare the shield went before him. And when the Philistine looked about and saw David, he disdained him, for he was but a youth, and ruddy, and of a fair countenance. And the Philistine said unto David, Am I a dog, that thou comest to me with staves? And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. That didn't scare him, because David knew the real God. And the Philistine said to David, Come to me, and I will give thy flesh unto the fowls of the air, and to the beasts of the field. Then said David to the Philistine, Thou comest to me with a sword, and with a spear, and with a shield. But I come to thee in the name of the Lord of hosts, the God of the armies of Israel, whom thou hast defied. This day the Lord will deliver thee into mine hand, and I will smite thee, and take thy head from thee, and I will give the carcasses of the host of the Philistines this day unto the fowls of the air, and to the wild beasts of the earth, that all the earth may know that there is a God in Israel. Yes. And all his assembly shall know that the Lord saveth not with sword and spear, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give you into our hands. And it came to pass, when the Philistine arose, and came and drew nigh to meet David, and David hasted, and ran toward the army to meet the Philistine. And David put his hand in his bag, and took thence a stone, and slang it, and smote the Philistine in his forehead, and the stone stuck into his forehead. And he fell upon his face to the earth. So David prevailed over the Philistine with a sling and with a stone, and smote the Philistine, and slew him, and there was no sword in the hand of David. Therefore David ran, and stood upon the Philistine, and took his sword, and drew it out of the sheath thereof, and slew him, and cut off his head with it. And when the Philistines saw their champion was dead, they fled. And the men of Israel and of Judah arose and shouted, and pursued the Philistines, until thou comest to the valley, and to the gates of Ekron. And the wounded of the Philistines fell down by the way of Shaaraim, even unto Gath and unto Ekron. And the children of Israel returned from chasing the Philistines, and they spoiled their tents. And David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put his armor in his tent. The topic I want to speak to you today on is, you have your battle gear, now get into the fight. God equips us all differently. He equipped David